Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Abdullah Patel English High School and DRT Junior College. Today we are going to start by our subject English as we have completed by our section 4 Introduction for History of Novel 4.1. Today we are going to start by History of Novel part 2 of our chapter, that is the explanation part of our chapter. I hope you people have understood what is novel till now by the introduction of novel. Today we are going to start by history of novel. Let's start. I hope the textbook of English is in front of you people. So in this chapter we have to deal by history of novel as well as the elements of novels, the types of novel as well. In this video, I'm going to explain you three to four paragraphs. I'm going to cover up only 3 to 4 paragraphs. Inshallah, in our next session, I'm going to cover up by the Indian scenario and the elements of novel. And in my third session, I'm going to start by the types of novel and brainstorming activity. So let's start by the history, how novel came in front to us as a gift. Now, the origin of novel was done in the 18th century. 18th century has gifted English literature to us, and there was two entirely new forms were kept in front of us as a gift. Now which were these two forms? So it was which were without any traces in the ancient classical heritage. Now what is heritage? Heritage is something that is passed on from one generation to another generation. So it has also gifted by our ancestor. In which century? Yes, in 18th century. One of those was the periodical essay and the other was novella. What was the two gift which 18th century has gifted to us? First was the periodical essay and second one is novel. Both of this form, especially novel, caught the spirit of the 18th century as the age of intellectual, sentimental and realistic plane. Now, as 18th century has gifted us two things, two forms of literature. What was that? The periodical essay and novel. But from this two, novel has catched the eyes of the readers, as it has caught the spirit of the 18th century readers, the age of intellectual. Intellectual means relating to intellect, sentimentals, and realistic plane. Realistic, which is accurately real in life, and which has also tried to instruct the readers who were reading the novel, which would help the reading of the novel would help them to more purposeful and virtuous. Virtuous over here means excellent, amazing life. Since the time of its origin, when the novel has been originated, novel has been gaining popularity. It became very famous and growing gradually. Today, it is recognized as the most dominant literary genre. Dominant means commanding over others. Novel is very essential thing. Each and everyone is reading with very enthusiasm. It is very amazing, entertaining part. So it is commanding over others. So it is dominate literary genre. Genre means form of literature. So it is a form of literature. I hope the first paragraph is clear to all of you. When the novel has came in front of us, in which century? In the 18th century. It was a gift to us by English literature, and in that English literature, how many gifts were there? It was two. And which were these two? Periodical and novel. Periodical essay and second was novel. But novel was very famous Why? Because it has given us intellectual, sentimental and realistic plane, and it has attracted readers as it was based on, yes, intellectual, sentimental and realistic plane. It was based by the gaining popularity, and as the readers were reading it, it was recognized as the most dominated literary genre, right? So moving further to our second paragraph, page number 173. I hope you people have opened your textbook. Now the novel, the definition of novel has been given, explained to us in this paragraph. Now where this novel has came, what is a novel, has been described, has been explained here very clearly in a very beautiful manner. Novel is nothing but a relatively long narrative fiction. It is written in a kind of a story which is a long narrative fiction which describes intimate human experiences. What we have an experience that the person has jotted down his idea over there. So it is just an intimate human experience. Novel is just an human experience, but it is written in a very long narrative fiction. Normally in a prose form, means in a chapter form. The present English word novel, what we are listening, novel, is derived from the Italian word. Novel is an Italian word which is called as novella. Novel is an Italian word which is called as novella, which means new. Novella, new. Novella means new. A novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, nature, people, and their mind, their gestures, and activities. Again, a definition of novel if you want to see. So, in simple terms, novel narrates a story, highlighting what it's highlight with more details of time, place, proper place, nature, people, what kind of peoples are there, what characters of peoples are there, about their minds, how their minds are going, what they are thinking, about their gesture and their activity. So simple, the definition of novel is a novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, nature, people and their mind, their gestures and activities. I hope the definition, meaning and definition of novel is clear to all of you. Moving further, it creates the picture. Novel creates the picture of the society of that time. Means it dates back 2000 years ago. So what happened at that time? How was the society? So novel is a mirror of that time. So it creates a picture, a background of society of that time. Novel makes life easier to understand than in drama and poetry. How does the drama and poetry have done? In our 11th standard, last year we have seen the history of drama. So it was a drama genre we have seen. The literature of drama we have seen. Today here we are going to study about novel. So novel make life more easier to understand than drama and poetry. It has been written like that. So novel is very important literature. In modern era, novel has adopted literary pose. Modern era means today. Today it has adopted literary prose. Moving further, the next paragraph, the novel as a literary genre has a history of about 2000 years. Novel as a literary genre. Already I've explained you about genre. Genre means forms of literature. So novel as a form of literature has a long history about 2000 years. Among the early precursors of novel, a collection of tales known as Greek romances. As early, how this novel has came in front, who has written. So it has been dated back 2000 years ago, and the early precursors who have started the collection of tales stories was known as Greek romances. Greek people have started dating from the 2nd to 6th century, may top the list. So the idea of writing the novel has came back from where? From the Greek people. Greek romances dating from which year, which century? 2nd to 6th century. may top the list. This imaginative and delightful story of idle love and marvelous adventures profoundly affected the creative writing for the next 1,000 years. If you have an idea about how the tourism has developed, so you be knowing that the Greek were the first people who has traveled, who has enjoyed traveling. Traveling was not for educational purpose but for entertainment purpose. So these were the first people who has traveled to the world. So these were the first people who know about the everything. So whatever they have seen, so they have jotted down. Whatever the experience they are having, they have jotted down on the paper. So the things were about the imagination of these people, the delightful stories what they were knowing from wherever they were going, wherever they were doing the journeys or the voyages they have done, or the story of idle love and marvelous adventure they have done. Hence, they profoundly affected the creative writing for the next 1,000 years. Though novel in the modern era usually makes use of a literary prose, the earlier threads of the genre can be found in Virgil's Eclogues or Milor's Morte d'Arthur. Remember the book name Morte d'Arthur, or Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. So these are the two novels where we can see their earlier threads, genre, literary prose of the novel. Moving further, the most famous, the Japanese novelist, is Murasaki Shikibu's Tale of Genji. Murasaki Shikibu have written the Tale of Genji in the year 10,010, which has been described as the world's first novel. Japanese novel was the first novel. And what was the name of that novel? Tale of Genji. The European novel is often said to begin with Don Quest by Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes, which was published in two parts between 1605 and 1650. In the 18th century, the appearance of newspaper and magazine attracted a large number of readers from the middle class. Now see, earlier novel was there, but when in the 18th century the appearance of novels and magazines, so people were attracted to that thing. So whatever the new thing is given to the reader, so people were attracted to that. And middle class, of course, they will see where there is the cheaper price will be given, so they are going to attract to that thing, right? A very short thing. So they were attracted in the 18th century, people were attracted to the appearance of newspaper and magazines. Moving further, now see, this is the picture of the Tale of Genji. In the Tale of Genji, Murasaki described court life as depicted in the exterior scene titled Royal Outing, late 16th century, by Tosa Mitsuyoshi. See, this is the diary of court ladies of old Japan. Again, this is the novel written by Murasaki Shikibu, and other writers were also helped him. See, this is again the European Spanish writer has written Don Quixote, which is the famous novel. I hope the pictures, the slides are visible to you people. Okay, now this new readers has little interest in romances and tragedies which were appreciated by the upper class. Now whatever, thus need for a new type of literature arose that would express the new ideas of the 18th century, and that was whatever they have written, it has been now old. So there was a need that they should write a new story to express their ideas, their imaginations. So, in the 18th century, new literature was characterized featured by the spirit of realism and denial of romantic features. That they said that we are not going to mention any kind of romantic features. We will just have a spirit of realism in our novel, like enthusiasm, passion, and imagination. The foreground for the novel was prepared by all this factor, and hence enthusiasm, passion, and imagination. These were the features of the novel, and in keeping in this thing in mind, they have prepared a novel. After 1740, novel originated as a literary form in England. Increase in trade and commerce along with the Industrial Revolution had given rise to the middle class. A class of people had emerged to occupy an elite status. The realistic picture of everyday life and problem of common people depicted in the novel appealed to the newly educated class and was regarded by them as respectable reading material. Now see what happened? There was a turn in the life of the people. Maybe a rich people, maybe the middle class one. Each and everyone has a turn in their life, as there was industrial revolution in England. So there was increase in trade and commerce. Time was up and down. There was no proper schedule in the life of the people. So this gave rise to the middle class people, and this class of people has emerged to occupy an elite position, elite status. And there was a realistic picture of everyday life, what is happening, the problems of the people, problems of common people, what they were facing. That was depicted, that was seen in the novel, and that appealed to the newly educated class and was regarded as a very respectable, important reading material. That was the thing, that was the reason that the people were reading the novel, that it has a glimpse, it has a picture of their day to day life, what they are facing. That thing is depicted in the novel. So the that thing was attracted to the readers. This novel as a form appears to have been designed for both to voice the aspiration of the middle and lower classes and meet their longings. The spread of machines could provide a time to the educated middle class for reading and discussion about the books. Drama and poetry were the two literary forms that were fading away. Novel was a combination of some features of them, and some new features were added to the form. It was a prominent form in the 18th century and onwards to encompass the social, political, and cultural happening and scientific programs. Hence, what was the result? That novel appeared as to be both the aspiration of the middle class as well as the lower classes, as it has depicted the picture, the life sketch of the people, common people. Their problem has been shown. So it meet their longingness, it meet their emotions were seen. Now the spread of machine as the newspaper and magazine. Okay, now here we are talking about that printing machine could provide a time to educated middle class for reading and discussion about the books. They started reading and discussion on those book, whatever they were reading. Hence the drama and poetry, there was no time to see drama and poetry. So these things were, these two literary forms were fading away, means missing away from at that time. The importance of drama and poetry was lessened. Novel was combination of some feature of drama and poetry, as well as then some new feature was also added to it. Hence the importance was gained. It was a prominent form in the 18th century and onwards. It encompasses as it included social, political, and cultural happening at that time, what the people were facing related to society, related to politics, and related to their culture. Whatever the problem they were facing was depicted, was shown in novel. And the important thing of at that time was scientific progress, industrial revolution was also included in novel. Now see, here we have completed by our history of novel by the 4 paragraphs. Let's have a short revision of our history of novel. Now see, as I already explained you about history of novel, genre is a form of literature. As we have already studied in our 11th standard about history of drama genre, so here we are studying history of novel. So I hope you remember in 11th standard also I have explained you about the types of literature and what is a literature. So the definition of literature is very simple. Literature means mirror of life, which shows our life. It is a life sketch of our experiences, human experiences, which reflect life, which criticize of life. Mirror of life, reflection of life, criticism of life. Now there is branches of literature. Literature is divided into four: poetry, drama, novel, short story. I hope you remember drama. Poetry also, I think you people know. Short story also you have listened about. Novel also. And in this year, in our syllabus, novel is included as a chapter. Now poetry is having two subsection: imaginative poetry and realistic poetry. Drama is having again two section: comedy and tragedy one. Short story, close to life, little scope. Novel is divided into five parts: historical novel, psychological novel, realistic novel, horror novel, emotional novel, and many more are there. Okay, so we are going to see the novel, the types of novel in our chapter also. There are many types. I have not mentioned over here, but a short glimpse I have shown to you about the literature. Moving further, now what is novel? Already we have seen novel. What is novel? Novel is nothing but it is derived from the word novella. Novella is an Italian word which means new. Novel is nothing but a long narrative fiction which describes human experience in prose form. Prose form means chapter form, which narrates a story with details of time, place, and people, and hence which creates a picture of the society of that time when the story has been taken. So that time, that place, that people has a creation of a picture has been done of the society and shown to us. History of novel dates back 2000 years ago. At the century 2nd and 6th, when Greek romances have taken the chances of writing novel. Novel is a collection of a short tales of love and imagination. The world's first novel we have seen, which was that? It was a Japanese novel written by Murasaki Shikibu. The name of the novel is Tale of Genji. In which year he has written? 10,010. Then first European novel. What is the name of the first European novel? Don Quixote, written in the year 1605 to 1615. Who have written? Cervantes. Then in England, novel appeared after 1740, after Industrial Revolution. The importance of novel has seen after Industrial Revolution in England. Hence, we have done by the chapter starting. Two paragraph has been remaining for the introduction of the chapter, and Indian scenario is also left. Then the character elements of the novel is also left. Inshallah, in our next video, next session, I am going to explain you that. Till then, thank you so much. Stay at home, stay safe, and complete your book on time. Thank you.